All right, so today's video, we're watching a Diamond 3 support on PC playing Ana on King's Row. Okay. They say, I'm submitting this VOD to promote representation for all of us gamers over the age of 30. Hey, wait a second. I find it hard to balance playing Overwatch with my career/life. I'm a medical doctor doing hospital work, which has long hours and often overnight call. Hey, massive respect on that one. My rank has varied widely between Plat and Masters. Much of this time, I think, is from my fatigue with work and still trying to play when I have free time. It's probably no surprise given my job that I only play support. I'm an Ana main through and through. This game had it all. King's Row with some hybrid brawl comps, Mirror, Rein/Ramatra, and Ana Lifeweaver from both teams with a rotating cast of DPS lineups. Petals and trees galore that would make a forest jealous. A few whiffed ults on both sides. And of course, a true nail-biter finish to cap off a King's Row match that really captures the magic of Overwatch. I'm currently in low diamond. I make quite a few mistakes here with some over-peeking and sloppy pathing at times, but hey, gotta risk it to get the biscuit. I think this game is an entertaining watch and would appreciate any feedback. Thanks for considering, and shout out to all my Overwatch Ana mains, especially my opponent in this game. She hit some clutch sleeps on our Genji, and hopefully fellow physician gamers. Let's see how this goes. I'm excited. Ana's always a fun watch, too, and it's cool to get Diamond games sometimes, too, because, like, you know, I mean, sometimes, believe it or not, sometimes the range of games, like Diamonds will be in top 500 games because of how they do their range. Okay, here we go. We're playing some Ana. All right, all right. A lot happening here. Okay, okay. Good sleep.
I see you.
All right. Nice sleep. Okay, this is a lot happening so far. Good save by your Lifeweaver. This is just like one of those non-stop team fights. And I can't tell what is happening half the time, but I think your team might win this team fight. Almost have Nano already. I would use it on your Rein, by the way, if your Rein survives. Nice sleep. Aim's looking good, by the way. No Nano now. Save your Nano. You almost have Nano Blade. Okay. Already have a note for you here. This is where it's important to recognize the kill feed and what's happening. So you already won the team fight. So one, even if your Rein dies here, there's about a 95% chance you're winning the team fight, if not higher. Number two, if you hit tab, you'd recognize that your Genji's at 90% on Blade. I don't think it's worth giving up a Nano Blade for like Nano and a Rein in a 5v2. So just, you know, just to make it a habit, hit your tab for a second or recognize the kill feed or like recognize what heroes you have. I do this sometimes too where I'll Nano someone and I go, oh crap, I didn't even know we had a Genji. And like, even if I'm healing a Genji, I'll just kind of like, I'm so like hard locked into the team fight that I just don't recognize the heroes we have on our team, and then I'll use my Nano. So get in the habit of hitting tab and just, or just like recognizing from the get-go, okay, actually it's a good habit to get into at the beginning of the game when you walk out of spawn doors, just go, okay, this is what we have. So now I know like where my Nanos will go. It's a good practice to get like to try. Okay. It's fine that your team's playing aggressive here and you getting the point. You have a Lifeweaver, enough healing there. Your Lifeweaver can save people, but you already had 3 picks. They're not even going to be able to remotely touch point. But I do want to reiterate how that became a wasted Nano because you already won the team fight. So this would have been, the next team fight would have been a great Nano Blade opportunity, especially like considering they just don't have much for it, right? Like they have Lifeweaver tree and things like that. But the point I'm making is that like you could still sneak away a kill or two during that. Now your Genji kind of has to wait. Big slam alert! Now your Genji's doing a blade without Nano. And does get a kill, right? But wouldn't it have been nice to kind of have a combo to go with that? Maybe that secures a second kill. And now your Nano Blade is like a lot better. So just once again, get into that habit, all right? That was certainly an EMP. Certainly was something. Just a little bit of a side note for Sombra players. And I know most Sombras know this, but I still people do it. EMP and Lifeweaver tree does not kill it anymore. It puts it at about half HP. So if you're trying to EMP Lifeweaver tree, I would not recommend it. Unless your team is committed to killing the tree right away after, which that'd be kind of stupid. You can just do it anyway without the EMP, you know? Now, at this point, I see what I'm at percentage-wise. I hit tab. And I go, okay, I'm close to Nano. Does my Genji have Blade? Now, you have that data. Genji doesn't have Blade yet. So now you need to make a decision. And this is where the decision comes. Do you Nano your Rein to create space? Or do you Nano your Genji and wait for Blade? Now we're in the spot where if I look at these percentages, I'm Nanoing my Rein. And that's because the Ramacha's going to be playing close to start with. So you can get away with getting a free kill because of that. Now, let's say that nothing happens and then... Okay. So far, mechanically, you've been great. You've been hitting a lot of shots. You're kind of keeping your APM up. You're all over the place. Your nanos, 0 for 2 so far. There's no reason to nano that Genji. Even if that Genji dies, I would rather see you save a nano for your Reinhardt when the Genji's at that percentage. If the Genji's above 80% or so, maybe 75% if you want to play it safe, then you'll just save for the nano blade. But instead, you do the middle ground. You nano a Genji for survivability. The Genji ends up dying anyway. Now, instead of being able to get map control on their team with an aggressive nano on Rein, which previously you nanoed Rein when you shouldn't have nanoed the Rein, that's where I would definitely pick things up. Good on a grenade, though. Big slam alert! And your Rein still clutches it. But now, the Ramatra gets nanoed, which then the Ramatra survives. So instead of the Rein having free swings on the Ramatra, you now need to wait. You hit a good sleep. Good on a grenade, good combo. But I think, like, right now, you could clean up your nanos. Straight up. Gameplay's been great, though. Straight up. And before chat's like, oh yeah, but he's like kind of like moving all over the place and doing this. Some players just want to, and this is how I am. I need to like constantly interact with the game for me to kind of stay locked in and engaged. I don't know if anybody else has that. You can let me know, but like I'm one of those players that like I need to constantly lock into the game. Otherwise, next thing I know, I'm just like, I'm not engaged in the game and I lose track for like 5-10 seconds. And I'm like, oh, wait a second, I got to refocus. So like, I don't mind, like, the kind of moving around all the time and scoping in and doing this. Like, I'm not going to, like, tell a player not to do that. Like, yeah, sometimes less is more, right? But as long as you're hitting your shots, it's not really screwing up anything. Like, do whatever's going to work if it works for you, right? But what I will say is your nanos are your number one issue right now. Position has even been solid for the most part. I'll keep kind of track of that for you, but yeah.
Adaptive circuits engaged. On us.
That must stay.
On a grenade for now.
Life protects life.
I'm here. Keep fighting.
Don't be afraid to throw an Ana grenade towards the Life Weaver tree. This is like a good opportunity for that. Now you're getting close to nano. If you hit tab for a second, you know you're not going to be able to nano your Genji. So when you get nano, don't be afraid of nano Rein. Excellent nano. Much better nano. This is going to make it so the other team's afraid to push the point. Even if they kill you here, you've done what you're supposed to do. As long as your team technically sits in the cart, you don't lose this. At least I don't think. You should be fine. We're going to stay in this point of view, though. I think you capped the point. Excellent.
I'm not.
All of that was really, really good. I'm still happy with that play by you. So, nice job. All right, what do we got now?
Hello.
Oh, my bad. I hit the wrong button.
Healing you. أنا ما حدش يقدر عليا. Rest up, old man.
Big slam! Yeah, it's kind of on you and your Rein. Rein was playing a little bit too aggro and you weren't adjusting to your position and when you were going to be fine for a little bit. Okay, not bad. Also, if you haven't noticed, like how I've talked about how each nano is differently, this is also why like sometimes I try not to make things as like ABC on how to play a hero. Because like I might say, okay, nano Genji here, and then the next 4 team fights I say nano Rein. Or vice versa, right? And like, it's all about the situation. The reason why I like the nano on Rein on second point is because that makes sure you get second point. I'm the type of player, and everybody's different with this mindset because obviously ult economy is a huge part of these games. I would rather dump my ults to win a team fight than to try to play it super safe. Sorry, let me rephrase that. To win a point, okay? To win a point. Like if you win the team fight, you win the point. I would rather dump ults to win a point than to try to get super fancy with ult economy and then just lose the team fight and get held on first or held on second, right? That's been my mindset. It usually works because you have time to build ultimates in this game. Obviously, that varies. Like if there's like, you know, let's say that the other team, you know, caps with 3 minutes and like if you want to be able to finish with time, you need perfect play, then you can get a little bit safer with that play. You'd be like, okay, we only can use these ultimates because you need those ultimates to snowball the rest of the fight to give yourself an opportunity. That's a little bit different, right? And that's also, once again, why, you know, while we have a couple guides coming out in the future that I'm working on right now, where we might ABC it a little bit, where we kind of like break it down a little bit to like, you can just do it this way, you'll kind of get a little bit better. Overwatch is one of these games, and for people who've been playing Rivals too, might have noticed this, like, every situation is different on how you're going to play the game, right? It's, while I can tell you, okay, save Nano for Blade, I'm not going to want you to save Nano for Blade every single time. If you do that, you're just going to be wasting your time waiting for this combo all the time. So, like, just remember that even though there's a generic ABC way to play sometimes, what makes or breaks as you climb is your decision making within that. Like, okay, it's time to stray away from it. And you know, just wanted to point that out because, like, I know I've brought up different Nano scenarios, and you're like, wait, why? You said don't Nano the Rhine here, but then Nano the Genji. It's because each situation is different, and I'm trying to show you why that's the Nano decision, which hopefully can help with your decision making to go in the future.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
Huge. Great blade. See, didn't even need it. So now what you would do, if you get Nano in time, is you Nano your Rhine. And what's going to happen here is your Rhine, in theory, should actually be pushing up already because you don't need to just sit there and swing. If you're a Rhine player in this situation, by the way, for anybody, my recommendation in this situation is to play, like, really, really aggressive with Rhine. Don't let them come out of the doors. Thankfully, like, your team has survived this and didn't get killed right away, but, like, don't give up that map control. Oh, wait, Nano your Rhine. Like, your Rhine's your Nano target now. Okay? So 3, 2, 1, Nano now. Nano now. Okay. I don't know if you have... that was just unlucky. I know you didn't mean to Nano the soldier, so I'll leave it there. I guess you could go for... I guess you could go for, like, the Nano soldier combo, but if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of that combo anymore nowadays. It's just too much in Overwatch that, like, ruins it for soldier. This is the correct play. If chat's going, oh, why'd you jump off the map? What are you doing? That was so dumb. Correct play. You're doing that to save time. At this point, you've already kind of lost the team fight. There's not much time on the clock. The best play is to jump off the map to reset with your team in a much sooner fashion. I'm telling you, you hear me say it all the time, that 5 or 6 second difference in Overwatch can make or break a game. Right? So now you're already here with your team. Imagine waiting an extra 5, 6 seconds in this situation. Now your team's already aggressive in their face. You're able to help your teammates in time. This is why I like that play. Sometimes it's like the little things in game that, like, basically win you stuff. Don't be afraid to do an aggressive honor grenade soon. You gotta pay attention to your Rhine in a second. This is the Nano. Yep. That pull by Life Weaver is correct. Sombra fell off the map. That's amazing. You're 71 on Nano. I think the only Nano target you have here is Rhine, and I'll explain why in a second. Yeah, you didn't get it in time anyway for the Rhine. Now you give it to whoever. Give it to whoever. First available player. I'm not even joking. You could Nano your Life Weaver if you wanted to, if you got it in time. You didn't end up getting it in time, but... So, just to point out, by the way, the reason why that if you did get Nano in time and your Rhine survived, you would Nano the Rhine, rather than, like, your Echo, is, like, your Echo can go in for, like, a play, but your Rhine needs to stay on cart. And the problem is that, like, you need to worry about so many things in that situation, so actually Nanoing your Rhine will allow for you to actually stop looking away from your Rhine for a little bit and be able to help, like, your Echo. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. They ended up, you know, clutching it out and winning the team fight, but I'm just showing examples of, like, how you would Nano there, right? Because the Rhine would then be able to swing, survive on point, and then you can kind of go do whatever you needed. So, all right, next up, you're back onto here. So now, like, let's scan through. You have a Junkrat, a Cassidy, a Kiriko, a Rhine, right? Your Nano targets here, Cassidy or Rhine. More than likely Rhine. I don't like Nano and Cassidy if you're going up against a Rhine comp the whole time. Excellent sleep, by the way. Saved your team. I wouldn't necessarily... I just think, like, Cassidy can get stopped by, like, just a Rhine shield alone. So, I would use it to either help your Cassidy survive some sort of dive, like, crazy play, or just give it to your Rhine every time as of right now. Or, like, maybe there's a high noon play you communicate, but I wouldn't even worry about that. Nice sleep. Mechanically, by the way, you have good mechanics, just so you know. Honor grenade when you can. Good job. Excellent play. So far, so good. I mean, your play's been great. Now this is where it gets interesting. Keep your Kiriko alive. You know there's an Echo behind you, but your Kiriko needs to worry about the Rhine for you. Okay. You know Echo's behind. You have the right idea. Now, Here's the one problem. I want you to think about like what your team's doing. You've split yourself into 2v2. So now you're worried about this echo, right? Which is okay. Paying attention is fine. On a grenade there. You're gonna nano your Rhine unless this echo. Okay, never mind. Nano Rhine. Just nano Rhine. Anytime you see opportunity, you just nano that Rhine. Do not give it a Cassidy. As of right now. Nano Rhine. Not yet. I'm just giving you the nano target. Nano Rhine now. Big slam. Nano's fine. Good sleep on Rhine to guarantee the kill. All played well there. But that was excellent. Excellent. Reason why you don't nano the Cassidy there is because you had a Rhine with essentially a full HP shield. And you know they have ultimates to go with it. That's going to be a wasted nano. But saving it for a Reinhardt to follow up on a Shatter and then hit a good sleep after, those are playmaking plays that are excellent. So good job. Position has been solid. What you have to worry about now is you know they have a nano, so they're going to have an all-in play. You do not waste your sleep here. You've been using your sleep a little bit aggressively sometimes. You need to save it for Bob. What's going to happen is they're going to Bob next. Now, unless this High Noon kills that Bob, now Bob gets a little bit more value. Now, counterpoint, Bob is a little bit better against an Honest Sleep now, but those 3 seconds that Bob will be slept for, so the reason why Bob is only slept for 3 seconds now is because Bob actually applies the tank passive now onto Bob. So the way that tank passive works is that you actually get slept for like, I think 3 seconds or something like that, instead of the, 5 seconds you normally would be slept for. So having that sleep on hand, especially when the Bob starts to really pop off and during a Kitsune, it's just good to have. And that's where just like understanding what they have, and this goes to anybody, the quicker you get better at ult tracking in this game, the better you're going to be. Because when you can prepare for what they have coming up, your decision-making becomes a lot cleaner, right? Like, if I know they have this ultimate and, like, I'm on Zarya and I need to save my bubbles, I'm not going to go aggressively bubble because I know what they need to do that. You go, well, yeah, but if you're on Zarya and you do that, you're not going to get any energy. Yeah, but, like, their team knows I know that, so now it's a mind game. Now, I'm not going to use my cooldowns, and they want me to use my cooldowns, so, like, they have to go out of their way to force my cooldowns out now. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit there and do nothing because I know what they have, right? So that's why I'm saying one thing you could work on is ult economy. And I mean ult economy and understanding ultimates and understanding when they're going to have them, because that's going to make you a better player faster. And this goes for any rank. If you're in bronze right now and you're like, hey, like, I know I need to work on like my aim and my mechanics, but I also want something else to work on. Like, I understand that like I need to work on this. That's why I always like stress working on positioning, right? And I'm doing a guide right now. I'm calling it like a generic like hero shooter guide. It's currently in the works. It's actually almost done on the script side. And I bring up how important positioning is, and I do that because, like, everybody knows you can work on your aim and movement, right? Like, when you play any game that has this type of stuff, like, aim and movement is a clear-cut way to keep improving. But, like, that's not what's going to make or break you as you climb. What's going to make or break you is, like, this decision-making stuff. And the quicker that you can adapt to this decision-making will give you an advantage over teams every day of the week, right? So, point I'm making, if you're new to a game, whether it's Overwatch or Rivals, etc., understanding when ultimates are going to happen makes your decision-making a lot cleaner. And then the cleaner your decision-making is, the less you're kind of like panicking in team fights, and then you're just winning more team fights overall. And that's how you go from breaking out of these 50-50 win rates to 52%. Well, when you're in these ranks, 52% is going to get you, you're going to climb, and you're going to climb steadily. So work on that. And I know I'm going a little bit more in depth right now, but one thing I want to do in my spectating is I kind of look back at things I want to iterate a little bit more on, is being helpful in these pauses to like talk about my thought process about the game a little bit more. I think that it could help make these better and sometimes more entertaining too. I mean, we've actually had a solid game here. So like if something like really bad was happening in the game, like things were like crazy and all over the place, I could be a little bit more like enthusiastic with what's happening. But like, it's been a nice solid Ana gameplay. Like, I've been happy with it outside of a couple, nano boost mistakes and like cooldown mistakes. So yeah.
Come over here, please. Come here to get healed. Come over here, please. Healing fortified.
All right.
Taking care of you. They're pushing the payload. Cut them off.
Good on a grenade. Big slam. Your Ryan's been playing well. I don't mind the sleep after. You can just once again wait on that one. Correct nano, by the way. That is the correct nano. Because your Ryan can pressure them back and the Bob will win the team fight. So, like, that was the correct play by you. Now, on a grenade in. Excellent. Mechanically, you're doing great. I think we're just going to clean up some of your decision-making and you're going to see it climb. All right, next up you have High Noon Okay. Yeah, high noon.
I'm near. Keep fighting.
Okay. I'm fine with this. Position's okay.
Stop the payload.
Basically, the only one thing I will say is you need to... Yeah. Okay. I see what you're doing. You're fine for now.
Close your eyes.
Good sleep. Good play. Now you need to reset out. Okay. I've seen a problem with this play, and I'm not gonna... I'm gonna pause for a second because I want you to understand why this ended up being incorrect after a while. It's because look at your hero swaps here. So your Life Weaver and then Kiriko is now on Mercy, and you go, well, what's wrong with that? The problem is especially as you climb more, Mercy pocketing a tank becomes a lot more difficult. Not because like Mercy can't like heal a tank up. I've talked about it where like Mercy can fall behind on heals on a tank just because of like DPS passives. It's more along the lines of like you're in a diamond game where there's gonna be a lot more of like very consistent damage. So if you leave your Mercy to be the one to heal the tank while you go for these plays, it's going to put a lot more pressure on your team, right? And the moment that your teammates got the Reinhardt kill, I actually would have stayed with your team rather than going for these flank plays, because then what ends up happening is if they make a turnaround play, you're not in a proper spot and you just can't win, right? Now, that ended up being a good Bastion ultimate, but I want you to think about this. If your whole team's there and you're all together as a core and nobody's worrying about their HP and nobody's like feeling like they need to do something, you probably don't die to the Bastion ult, right? Because you're up further. So I don't mind like going for flank plays like this, but it's all about the timings, okay? Like there's a difference between like being able to mechanically do it and then the practicality of that play at the time. And I think like you trust your mechanics to make the play, and that's great, but it needs to be at the right time and to make that play. Like you can't like basically leave your team on an island during that. Now that wasn't the reason why you lost the team fight per se, but I mean, truthfully, I think that whole situation goes a little bit differently, because I don't think your team's playing as far back if your team feels the confidence to push in with the heals. So I could be wrong though. I mean, that's just more of an assumption on that point. So yeah.
Come over here.
Yeah, unlucky nano timing. Right idea, bad timing. Also, you did it again. You went on this like flank, and your teammates need more help on the like. I get what you're trying to do, but like, and I know that you're in a spot where okay, you needed to go to a spot to survive. Why not go into like the little health pack room below the stairs? At least then you can keep your Reinhardt healed. If you have to peek that top corner, they can see you, and you're gonna fall over. So, once again, mechanically, I can tell that you trust your aim and your movement, etc., which is great. Having that confidence in your aim and movement is wonderful. But like, look at this. You did it again. Your line of sight in your tank. So now, like, you went from being very solid at like your positioning to you've strayed away from what's worked for you this whole game, and now your Reinhardt has more pressure situations, right? I'm starting to see you try to do too much now. Like now you're in a spot where you're running away, your team feels obligated to save you. Now you have no cooldowns because you just used all your cooldowns in an important situation. So this kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like you got to be a little bit smarter with these type of scenarios.
Nano boost is charged. Entub amen. وريهم قوتك. Stand up straight.
The light becomes me.
Okay. Nice Sonic Grenade. Nice play. This is much better positioned, by the way, now, because you're playing back, you're unkillable, and you have sight lines.
Ultimate is ready.
This rotation's fine now, because the team fight's done. Right now, you can do your rotates to these spots. You want to be here? That's fine. Don't do it when a team fight is already engaged. Right now, obviously, there's niche moments where you can do that when the team fight's engaged, but I wouldn't worry about it. This seems like a... Okay, yeah, there you go. I was going to say. You can nano your Rhine. They just switch Genji. You're fine. Nano's good. Honor grenade the Rhine, so the pressure's on the Life Weaver to pull back. Well played. Not a good Kitsune by your teammate, but we've all been there. Sometimes your team's feeling it. Now, I would have honestly, I think that was a rough ultimate. I got good news for you, though. They don't have too much right now. And they have a Bob. Yeah, that Kitsune would have been nice now. That Kitsune would have been nice now.
I won't let you fall. Patched up. Come over here, bro.
Here we go.
Their time is short.
Okay. Good kill. Good flank. I understand the sleep. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you just win the game. So, good job. And actually, that ended up being a good timing on the flank because your team wasn't pressured as much. Nice job. But yeah, so, first of all, great, excellent play. I mean, you mentioned yourself that, like, you kind of go back and forth, like, you know, being, like, super busy and things like that. And honestly, like, if I'm going to be real with you, I feel like you played that very well. You know, outside of the moments I mentioned, right? And I think, like, if there's one thing I want you to clean up on, it's start with recognizing what you have, what your teammates are. If you have a Genji, try to save your nano for Genji if you can, right? If once you fall out of that cooldown flow with a Genji, it becomes really hard to catch back up on that. I don't know if anybody's ever had that example where, like, you want to nano a Genji, but you had a nano a Rein, and then, like, you can never get on the same page, like, ult charge wise, because, like, both of you just want to be aggressive, and I get that. Number two, I want you to stop trying to relocate yourself in the middle of a team fight when, like, your team needs you. And I saw it happen multiple times on second and third here where, like, I don't know if you thought you needed to do more. You were doing just fine, but it got your teammates killed. Like, not necessarily your teammates killed, but it made the team fight a lot harder. So I want you to think about those rotations after a team fight. Like, if you want to get to a spot, that's fine, but I want you to think about it after a one team fight rather than trying to do it in the middle of a team fight. And maybe you communicated that and they decided to engage anyway, or the other team got aggressive at, like, a bad timing, but that's really where your gameplay needs to clean up on. Your nanos, and then, like, your mid-team fight decision-making when it comes to rotations. But if you can properly position yourself and not over-rotate like you were doing, and then also just clean up your nanos, I think you'll go on a climb because mechanically, I mean, you clearly are mechanically doing well. Now we need to clean up that stuff. So you do that, you're gonna climb. You got this. You absolutely got this. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to all 3 YouTubes if you haven't, leave a comment. All of that helps. We also record these usually live on stream. So we'll be live on Twitch or YouTube, so stop by if you haven't. We have a lot of fun here. If you want to submit your own stuff, did I say my Discord? I don't know. I always forget. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you all have an amazing day / night.